Okay, let's dive right in. Welcome to another explainer, where we take incredibly complex, fascinating subjects and break them down step by step. Today, we're looking at a groundbreaking archaeological explainer that aims to separate ancient mythology from hard scientific evidence, all buried beneath the waves of the Arabian Sea. We are, of course, talking about the ancient city of Dwarka. It's a site that has commanded massive attention from historians and millions of people around the world, and today, we're going to look exactly at what the science tells us. You know, for centuries, ancient texts like the Mahabharata and Vishnu Purana have completely captivated us with the legend of Lord Krishna. According to these Sanskrit traditions, Krishna actually reclaimed a vast tract of land from the sea to build a magnificent, holy city. We're talking beautiful gardens, deep moats, and grand palaces. But as the legend goes, this legendary city was swallowed by the ocean immediately after his death. It's a powerful, enduring story, but for a really long time, it remained just that, a story. So to speak, this right here is our crime scene. This is the modern town of Dwarka, situated on the extreme west coast of India's Saurashtra Peninsula, right where the Gulf of Kutch meets the Arabian Sea. Now, this is an area historically known for dangerous navigation, but it's also an absolutely crucial maritime choke point. And this exact spot is where marine archaeologists from the National Institute of Oceanography have spent years systematically hunting for the truth behind the Sunken legend.
Picture this. You're standing on the coast, looking out over the restless, dark waves of the Arabian Sea. It makes you wonder, right? What forgotten chapters of our past are just sitting down there, swallowed by the deep? Well, welcome to this explainer. Today we are diving into a highly intellectual and honestly, super mysterious investigation. We're looking at an underwater enigma that, if we truly understand it, threatens to completely rewrite the timeline of human civilization as we know it. We're going in search of the legendary 9,000-year-old lost city of Dwarka.
Now listen to this chilling eyewitness account. This isn't from some modern disaster movie, by the way. I saw with my own eyes that beautiful city sinking into the water, one by one. The peaks of the palaces submerged, the walls drowned, and in a matter of minutes, there was nothing but water everywhere. That is the actual account of the warrior Arjun, recorded in the Mausala Parva, the final chapters of the ancient Indian epic, the Mahabharata. He's describing an apocalyptic event, a magnificent city just entirely swallowed by the ocean in mere minutes. For generations, academics just waved us away. They said, oh, it's just pure poetry, it's a myth. But what if it wasn't?
Okay, let's jump right into Section 1, the prophecy of Vari Durg. So, to understand what's sitting at the bottom of the ocean, we first have to understand the original blueprints. According to ancient texts like the Mahabharata, the Harivamsa Purana, and the Vishnu Purana, Dwarka was absolutely not your average settlement. When the tyrant Jarasandh was relentlessly attacking the city of Mathura, Lord Krishna made a strategic call to protect his people. He commissioned an impenetrable sanctuary right on the western coast. He tasked the divine architect Vishwakarma with an engineering feat that sounds literally impossible: reclaim land directly from the sea. The texts describe Vari Durg, which translates to a water fortress. Vishwakarma reportedly claimed 12 yojans of land from the ocean to build this massive golden metropolis. And the urban planning? It's staggering. We are talking about a highly structured city with wide roads divided perfectly into 6 massive sectors and boasting over 9,000 gateways.
Now, because this was a fortress designed to protect refugees, security was absolutely paramount. In fact, the Mahabharata Sabha Parva specifically mentions that Dwarka was a high-security zone. Listen to this. No one could enter or exit the city limits without a mudra, an identity seal. I mean, think about that for a second. This brilliantly illustrates an incredibly advanced civic system. What we are reading about is essentially an ancient, highly organized protocol completely identical to our modern passports and border security, existing thousands and thousands of years in the past.
Moving on to Section 2. Hunting the Sunken myth. So for hundreds of years, global historians looked at these staggering descriptions, golden walls, 9,000 gates, ancient passports, and they collectively agreed, yeah, it's just a beautiful myth. They argued a city like that never actually existed, but one man refused to just accept that consensus without looking for hard proof. Enter Dr. S.R. Rao. He is widely revered as the father of marine archaeology in India. In the 1980s, he started terrestrial excavations near the modern-day Dwarkadish temple in Gujarat. He found some really promising clues, but quickly realized the ultimate answers weren't on land at all. They were underwater. So from 1983 to 1992, the National Institute of Oceanography, the NIO, launched these unprecedented underwater expeditions around Dwarka and the Gulf of 𝐏𝐑𝐎𝐿. They were taking the search for Krishna's golden city directly into the dark, murky depths of the Arabian Sea.
Which brings us to Section 3, Evidence Beneath the Waves. All right, this is where the story shifts from ancient theology to hard empirical science. NIO divers plunged into the silent depths between 40 to 120 feet below the surface. Down there, hidden beneath centuries of thick algae and shifting mud, they didn't just find a few scattered rocks. What they found was mind-blowing. Using advanced sound pulse scanning, or sonar, they mapped out massive, continuous fortification walls. And these weren't just haphazardly stacked stones. The divers found highly advanced, interlocking stone blocks engineered so ingeniously that they actually resisted the destructive forces of the ocean. They uncovered semicircular and rectangular bastions, which are essentially defense watchtowers. And incredibly, the sonar revealed that the city was laid out in a geometric grid, perfectly straight streets intersecting exactly at 90-degree angles. This perfectly validates those ancient texts that described Dwarka as a master-planned city of square and rectangular blocks.
But the discoveries didn't stop at just the urban planning. While excavating underwater, divers found hundreds of massive, distinct triangular and grapnel-type stone anchors, each weighing several quintals. Now, you don't just have hundreds of massive anchors lying around unless you are hosting a fleet of massive ships. This physical evidence proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that this sunken settlement was an incredibly active, bustling international maritime port. It was connecting trade routes and welcoming vast ships from other nations long before recorded history suggests that kind of global trade was even possible.
Then came the breathtaking moment of the expedition, the ultimate aha moment. Deep underwater, archaeologists recovered a small, seemingly unassuming artifact. When they finally cleaned it off, they found a distinct carving of a tri-headed animal, or monster. Remember our discussion earlier about the ancient passport? Well, the Mahabharata explicitly states that the citizens of Dwarka carried an identity seal, the mudra, bearing the exact emblem of a tri-headed beast. This single, tangible artifact seamlessly connected the ancient Sanskrit terminology with hard, undeniable physical evidence. The myth was real.
Let's look at Section 4, the carbon dating shockwave.
Now, finding a sunken city is one thing. That's cool on its own. But figuring out exactly when that city existed, that is what turns an archaeological triumph into a full-blown global historical crisis. The NIO teams brought up carbonized samples from the underwater site, pieces of wood, fragments of pottery, remnants of hearths. They sent these samples to the Birbal Sahni Institute of Paleosciences, along with various international labs for rigorous carbon-14 dating. The results came back, and the number printed on those scientific reports literally sent shockwaves through the academic world. 9,000. The laboratories dated the ruins back to a staggering 7,500 BC to 9,000 BC. Just let that sink in for a second.
So what this means is we are looking at a massive collision of timelines. For generations, the established Eurocentric historical narrative has taught us that human urban civilization really kicked off in Mesopotamia and Egypt around 3500 BC. Before that, the general consensus was that we were mostly hunter-gatherers or living in very primitive farming villages. But the Dwarka discovery, it presents hard scientific evidence of a highly advanced, mathematically engineered coastal metropolis complete with international ports and passport systems thriving between 7500 BC and 9000 BC. If Dwarka existed back then, our entire accepted timeline of mankind is fundamentally incorrect. It's a total paradigm shift.
Next up, Section 5, Tsunami or Ice Age.
So obviously the big question is, if an empire this glorious and advanced actually existed 9,000 years ago, what on earth happened to it? How does a heavily fortified metropolis just completely disappear beneath the sea? Scientists and marine geologists have debated this, and they basically have two main hypotheses. The first theory points to the post-Ice Age melt. Around 10,000 years ago, as the last glacial maximum ended, a period of dramatic global warming caused the ice caps to melt. Marine oceanographers estimate global sea levels shot up by an astonishing 100 to 120 meters. Under this model, Dwarka and the entire western coast of India were slowly, inevitably swallowed by the rising tides over centuries. However, the second theory aligns way more closely with the ancient texts, a cataclysmic tsunami. Some scientists argue that the scattered, chaotic nature of the massive stone blocks underwater points not to a slow, gradual flood, but to a violent, sudden disaster. A massive tectonic shift in the Arabian Sea could have unleashed an apocalyptic tsunami, shattering those incredible fortress walls and drowning the city overnight. And honestly, this scientific hypothesis perfectly, almost chillingly matches Arjun's eyewitness account of the ocean suddenly rising up and taking the city in mere minutes.
Finally, we arrive at Section 6, the Silenced Truth.
You'd probably think that discovering a 9,000-year-old advanced civilization that completely rewrites global history would trigger the largest, best-funded archaeological expedition in human history, right? Well, unfortunately, the story takes a much more mysterious and abrupt turn here. Just as the most groundbreaking revelations were emerging from the Gulf of Combat in the early 2000s, deep exploration funding was abruptly and inexplicably cut. The whole ambitious project was just brought to a dead halt. Now, our sources indicate that amidst this sudden stoppage, claims surfaced suggesting certain Western academic institutions, alongside localized political agendas, actively pressured to suppress further research. The assertion from the sources is that protecting the old established historical narrative was deemed more important than exploring this timeline-shattering truth. Now, to be clear, we are not here to take sides on why the funding stopped. We're just looking at the facts. But the undeniable fact remains: the search was halted, and the ruins were left alone in the dark.
Today, the remnants of Lord Krishna's magnificent city still sit silently beneath the coastal waters of Gujarat. And as we've seen throughout this explainer, they're not just rocks. They are physical, enduring testaments that these ancient texts might not just be mythology at all, but are actual lost submerged history. So, I want to leave you with this final thought. If a 9,000-year-old advanced metropolis like Dwarka is real, and this is truly just the tip of the iceberg, how much of our true human history still lies hidden, just waiting to be discovered beneath the dark, silent waves? It makes you wonder, doesn't it? Keep questioning, keep learning, and thank you so much for joining me on this incredible investigation.